Hey everybody, welcome to Linux Cast. I'm your host, Matt.
I'm Drew.
I'm Nate.
I'm Tony.
All right, so as you guys might have noticed, we have a guest. This is Tony, by the way. He runs a YouTube channel that's called Tony, by the way. So hello, Tony. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so we have some topics for you guys, and we'll hear some more about Tony as the show goes along, of course. So we're just going to have ourselves a podcast. This is the Linux Cast. We talk about Linuxy things, and tonight we are talking about the most Linuxy of things. Last week we deviated and talked about AI. We're gonna have one of those nights where Matt can't talk shit. Anyway, we're back on the Linux things. We're going to talk about window managers and desktop environments and the tools that you need to be good at them. So that's the thing we're going to talk about. But before we do, we have a mini topic, which is this. If you could go back in time and tell your past self one thing, just one thing about Linux, what would it be? Drew, you carry us off first, please.
I would, my first thing would be, don't listen to Matt. No, I'm just kidding.
Good advice.
I think that's actually excellent advice. No. So when I first started using Linux, I watched a lot of YouTubers out there, and my thought was, man, these guys are all using Arch, and and I wanted to use the same things that they did. I was a little dissatisfied because I wasn't good enough, I think, at that time to use Arch. And so I think maybe that would have been my first thing, is like, don't watch YouTube to teach you something. Actually get in there and start with something really simple. If you can start with something simple and master that, then you can kind of move on. But don't start with like the hardest thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's my one tip to my former self.
And it's like home labbing. Like if you want to start a home lab and then your first person you're introduced to is Techno Tim, you can't be that guy. You know what I mean? like you don't have that kind of money. I'm sorry. You just don't have, and you don't need it. So yeah, that's absolutely true. Good advice. Nate, what about you? What would be your first thing, or what would you tell your past self if you had the opportunity?
For the love of God, don't open a forum ever. Ever. I don't care if you have questions. Just don't even open the forum. Don't even post a question. Unless you just want to live through pain for the rest of your life.
So don't visit the ArchWiki forum or the Manjaro forum?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Right.
Nope.
Does
don't
Manjaro
even go to the
still have a
Ubuntu
forum?
forums.
Jeez.
I think there's worse people on Ubuntu than there is Arch.
Hey, you want to know what? I'm sure there are plenty of fine people there. They're just outshadowed by the assholes.
That's a good point.
The entire NixOS forum. I'm sorry.
What NixOS forum? They all walked away. All right. What about you, Tony? What if you could go back in time, what would be one thing you'd tell your past self about Linux that would change everything?
Yeah, I think for me, like what I would tell myself when I first started using Linux would be that the Unix philosophy doesn't actually matter that much, because Unix was proprietary garbage anyway. And so for me, it's like, what matters more is like, is it free and open source, and does it work efficiently? And I think the examples that I would point to would be like Emacs, Systemd, and Xorg and stuff. Like those don't really follow the Unix philosophy, but they're excellent tools in my opinion. But like stuff that does follow the Unix philosophy, like Sublime Text and stuff, like that's proprietary. That's proprietary, tools and stuff, but it's kind of Unix philosophy-esque. So I just think I cared too much about that like early on, but I think right now I don't care about it as much anymore.
So I mean, we were joking before we started recording about you being DT's mini-me. You seem very atrocious. You seem very ardent in your open source, interest. Are you? Do you use
advocacy.
Do you use any proprietary stuff at all? I'm just curious.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, if I'm forced to use like some of this stuff, and I choose to use some of it stuff like for convenience,
Discord.
Yeah, exactly. Discord is one of those tools, and like I have a job, so I've got to use Slack and stuff. But I try to use like as much as I can that's free and open source, just not because of like the morality aspect mainly, but just because of just it's just a lot of times it's better. Usually, in my opinion, like my experience is like the open source tools, free open source tools, just easier to work with. So
I am going to message DT and make sure that he trademarks his proprietary garbage thing just so that you can get charged for that. I wanted to send you a bill. Okay. All right. So if I could go back in time, just one, and say one thing to my past self, what I would do is tell myself that distros don't matter. When I first started, I had this weird idea in my head that in order to use a different desktop environment, I had to switch to a different distro. So like I started off on Ubuntu, on an Ubuntu flavor, and I think it was Budgie. And I figured in order to use KDE, I had to jump to Ubuntu or Kubuntu. If I wanted to use GNOME, I had to use, at that point, I think that it was before they jumped to GNOME. So I had to use the GNOME flavor or whatever. So, and even beyond that, I would tell myself that even beyond the desktop environment and distro not being tied together, it's just that unless you're on NixOS, every other distro functions almost exactly the same. Now they have their own, release schedules and their stuff like that. But for the most part, if you learn Linux, you can use any distro out there. And for me personally, I think that if I'd learned that a little bit sooner, like before I opened up OpenSUSE for the first time, I think I probably would have hopped a lot less, because there was a period of time between like 2017 and 2018 where I was distro hopping every 5 to 7 days. And it was ridiculous. And part of it was just that I really like installing Linux. Like installing Linux. To this day, if Drew posts a Debian install video, I watch it. Now, like it's absolutely the truth. I love installing Linux. So part of it was that. But also I just, always looking for the perfect thing. And just they're all basically, when you come down to it, basically the same. So that's what I would say.
So you're saying don't listen to yourself.
Don't listen to me. That was good. That was the best advice of the night, Drew, is don't listen to Matt. Absolutely.
I would say technically you are true. They're almost the same, except for the little tumbleweed thing that you have going over there. I'm just saying that,
All right. First off, will somebody murder that motherfucker? That's horrible. That was the rudest thing he's ever done to me, and that's just horrible. I'm driving to Oklahoma. I'm going to I'm probably get trampled by a cow or something along the way. But I'm just saying that was horrible, Nate, and we're no longer friends
in Call of Duty. But no, I got a question for you, Matt. Though. So would you argue though that because of your addiction to distro hopping, like you learned a lot about how to install different distros and stuff, and like how everything works and stuff? Because I thought about that as a topic too when you asked me like, what I would have told myself maybe stop distro hopping early, but I feel like I'm a distro hopper enabler. You know what I'm saying? And then you are too, to an extent, because of how much content you put out there about different distros.
I like to think that I'm better than I used to be, but you're right. You're probably right. But YouTubers cover distros because it does well on YouTube. I mean, that's part of the thing, right? Like it's the best selling content that we have.
Because that's a question. I mean, I used to be that I would watch every single YouTuber's like distro review. Oh, new Ubuntu, and and there would be something, but I didn't think that it actually worked that way anymore, Matt.
It's really surprising that it does. Even now that YouTube is so YouTube is in a period where the algorithm doesn't like to see the Linux cast for whatever reason. Doesn't like seeing my channel. So a lot of my videos, like that Hyperland video, it used to be if I published a window manager video, it would do really well. The second version of the Hyperland thing just tanked, and it's fine. I don't care, but it just did. But the distro stuff has maintained fairly well. Oddly enough, Drew, the podcast has tripled in volume since we started taking on guests, and then like every week now we were getting like 2,000 or 3,000 views on the video. Now we're getting closer to 5 to 7, depending on the week. And the audio version, I think I actually showed you a thing where it was just been the same forever.
Yeah. Since
we brought on the guests and Brody and all the guys, it's just steadily gone up.
That's nice.
So,
right on.
Yeah, it's. But anyways, the point I was trying to make is like the distro stuff still does very, very well for whatever reason. And I think part of it is that there's still quite a few people who were like us ages ago looking for that forever distro. And that's the reason why that content will always do well, because there's always new people coming into the community and they're always searching what is the best distro. And if you use that as a title on a YouTube video, you're liable to get quite a few people to watch it. Even if like half of the people who are going to get in there and say, Pop! OS is the best distro, or OpenSUSE is the best distro, or Debian or whatever.
I mean, to your point, I'll actually put Talix as the best terminal, and oh my lord, so many people clicked on that video because they were upset.
Well, they just want to, come on, man. The answer is Kitty. Of course it's the best.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, to your point, though, you mentioned you did a Hyperland Part 2 video. I actually saw that. Do you agree with this statement that Part 2 videos are kind of, in a way, that they don't perform as well as Part 1's because they're like when you open the video, if you didn't watch Part 1, you might just close it?
So I knew going in that I was taking a little bit of a risk doing it as a series, but I couldn't. So when I did one of my top rated videos of all time was the how to use i3 video. It has like 200,000 views or something. And that was just one singular video, but you can cover all of i3 in one video. It's not even that long. It was like 20 minutes long. There's no way I can cover all of Hyperland and Waybar in one video. It just wasn't going to happen. It would be 3 or 4 hours long. There's just too much stuff there. So, but I was never doing that series knowing that it was going to be instantaneously good. My hope is that over time, people will find the series and be able to watch it once it's complete. It's similar to like how Learn Linux TV does some of his stuff. Some of his stuff just tanks right out of the bat, but over time, it grows because people will go search out how to install Proxmox, and that's where the views come in. Also, at the end of the day, it doesn't really. Did someone to say Wes to Drew? Wes term. All right. So I have this to say about terminals, and maybe we'll talk about more about terminals later. But my biggest gripe about NixOS is that the Kitty auto refresh config thing that they have, which is like Kitty's best feature, doesn't work. And the sad thing is, like, the WesTerm thing does. WesTerm has the same thing. Like, if you touch the configuration file, it will actually refresh all the terminals that are open. On a regular, like, real distro, it works. On NixOS, doesn't work. And it doesn't work in Kitty either. And it really freaking bugs me. Because I like to change themes all the time. And this means I have to have I've had to basically code my own auto refresh of everything in order for it to work. It's not great. It's probably the reason why when my NixOS challenge is up, I'll be leaving it behind. Just because that one thing drives me freaking bonkers. All right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to our... That's a you problem. It works just fine. I don't believe that for a minute, Darth Vader, but whatever. Okay. I've actually talked to the Kitty developers, and they've found the problem, but it's a NixOS issue, and the NixOS guys would have to fix it. All right, anyways, we're Matt responding to the chat, just no context. So if you guys want to watch the chat and know what we're talking about, you actually have to watch live, which we record this live every Tuesday at 8:00 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe and like and all that kind of stuff.
Never late. Not one time.
No, never late. And I'm just saying this to be nice because I was such a mean person earlier. It's never Nate's fault, okay? his technology situation is steady, man. And Drew's like, it would be if he used Debian. All right.
Well, since you said that, just one more time.
Yeah. You know, it probably would work well on Debian too, but I don't use a real distro, so I can't even say anything about it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the main topic, which is what are the tools you need to be good at window managers and desktop environments? So I threw in the desktop environment thing mostly because Nate's a desktop environment user, and it would feel weird, not to talk about them because the vast majority of people are more like Nate than the rest of us nerds. So we're going to talk about all of this stuff, and it will also broaden the variety of tools because the window manager stuff, I have a feeling we all have the same 10 tools written down. I have a feeling. So we'll see if that's true. So what we're going to do is we'll go around the horn one at a time. You'll list your first one, and then we'll carry on, and then we'll go on and we'll repeat until we either run out or we run out of time. So Tony, why don't you take us first? What is your first tool that you would like to share?
Yeah, I mean, the first tool for the window manager would have to be the display server, right? So...
Oh, you're going low level is what you're doing. Okay.
I'll start from the ground up. I mean, you could pick Xorg, or I guess you could pick Wayland for the compositor, but you need that absolutely as a tool, I would say, for the window manager.
Well, yeah, because without the window manager, you wouldn't in fact have a window manager.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But do you mean when you say tools, do you just mean like
things you actually like interact with, like in order to so for example, I'm just going to take one away from everybody and call Rofi as the thing, right? So that's what I mean by tools. Rofi is the thing. Maybe we'll talk more about Rofi. So you're right, though. Window Manager is an essential tool if you want to be good at window managers.
Yeah.
Nate, what about you? And what are the tool that you find essential to using a desktop environment or window manager?
Go to Drew, because I got to think about this one.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to even talk about it.
He warned us to begin with that he was phenomenally unprepared, so we shouldn't be surprised. Drew, why don't you take us over?
You know what's funny is I use very few tools. You know, it's very minimalistic. I think by definition, window managers have a very minimal UI. So when it comes right down to it, I have like a bar. And in DWM, I use SL status. And in other window managers, I use something else. So a bar to see some type of output, you know, whether it be your volume or how much RAM you're using or how much disk space is actually being used, or more specifically, what tag or workspace that you're currently on. So those are that's the tool, I guess, is the bar. Not everybody uses a bar, by the way, just letting people know that some people
understand those people.
Yeah, some people just don't. I watched Tyler do an entire video on BSPWM and never looked at the bar. I never even decided, never installed a bar. And he was just like, yeah, I'm happy as a clam. Never going to even look at a bar. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to go with the bar. And in this case, since I am using DWM, it's SL status.
Okay, so I too have bar on my list. All right. Nate, did you come up with one?
No.
Okay.
I'll do a mulligan then, because the display server was kind of a gimmick. Because he mentioned bar. I guess you mentioned Rofi, so I'll go to the next one. I mean, a compositor. I mean, it's nice to have, like a PyCom or a Compton or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Drew has a really nice PyCom config that I might kind of borrow and make some modifications to it. But
yeah, I wish I could take credit, but the PyCom fork that I use is called the FT Labs version of PyCom. It is outstanding, if you're asking me. So
yeah, I was looking at a couple of your videos, and I really like the animations that you put into DWM. I've got a guy in my Discord. His name is Bugs. He is also really into the PyCom world. So I do want to make like a really dialed PyCom config, but I have a 4-line config right now, so it's like kind of a low priority for me. But I think that's probably like the third thing you go for, like after the bar and the run launcher.
Okay, so my first one, technically my first one was Rofi, but my next one then would be I know this isn't a tool, but I needed to come up with something. So Vim keys, like if you don't learn the Vim keys, you're probably going to be lost in a window manager because they all use them. Although i3 does this really stupid thing where instead of HJKL, it's JKL semicolon. Change that shit. But you learn the Vim keys. Even if you're not going to use Vim, learn the Vim motions. You're going to be much happier than if you don't. Because like everything uses them. Even beyond just the window manager part of it, like everything, like you can use them in your browser a lot of times, like in Discord, a lot of those things are Vim bindings by default. So yeah, learn your Vim keys. You'll be very happy that you did. Okay.
I think Nate's ready.
Is that true, Nate? You have one for us? Excellent.
Yep,
take it away.
I actually do.
Good.
So the first one is because I use Pop! OS 22 that I actually need extensions because I can't stand the default look. It just bothers me. So I need my extensions so I can actually customize the GNOME desktop and make it look and function better.
Less like GNOME is what you're trying to say?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because one day I will run a poll and ask how many people actually run vanilla Ubuntu. I bet you there are some really weirdos out there. I'm very much judging people who use vanilla GNOME, but
I used it for a while actually when I was like 13.
I would like to. I would like to meet someone who actually does, like, ask them why. Like what? I know someone actually. I know there are people who do use vanilla GNOME, but I would wonder why they do so. Just because it just feels like it'd be, like really hard to use. Like there's just certain things that certain things that you need. Like let's say for example you use Dropbox, and the only way to interface with Dropbox is to have a icon up in the bar. You can't have it in the vanilla GNOME. You have to use an extension to do it. So I don't know. It's weird to me. Anyway.
Same thing with Nextcloud.
Yeah, Nextcloud, Sync thing, any number of things are just like live up there in the system tray, and the fact that you don't have that by default is not great. Turned into a GNOME bashing session there for a second. Sorry, GNOME guys, but you shouldn't be surprised. Drew, your next one.
Well, I need something to bind my keys, and most of the time, like I said, I'm used DWM. I could very easily just have all my key bindings within the DWM config, and that would be fine. I don't. I use SXHKD in combination with DWM. The reason why is for simplicity. I have kind of like the bare essentials in my DWM config, and I use SXHKD in case I was just going to change one thing, and I don't have to recompile the thing. And I kind of do that for others, since so many people have actually either taken my DWM config or forked it. I just think it's easy for them just to say, oh, yeah, I want to change my browser from Firefox to something else. And then they can easily do that and just hit super escape, and it reloads the SXHKD, and you're good to go. So that is, that's kind of a gimme, but having something that manages your key bindings, there you go.
Yeah. Tony, your next one?
Yeah, I would say you start to get to kind of like the extra credit territory here, but like a file manager, especially for like when you start getting into the YouTube world, like making videos and stuff, like it's a lot easier to mess around with a file manager, like a GUI one, like PCManFM or something.
Is that what you use? Is PCManFM?
I do use PCManFM. It's pretty lightweight. It's pretty nice. But I think it's like pretty much standard, I think, or like I'll have like LF or something for basic stuff or whatever, but I think PCManFM is like a really good one, and you could theme it, you can extend it, but yeah, it's really nice.
So I am known as the file manager guy. I have probably about 30 videos on my channel all about file managers, and I'm going to put out there I'm going to drop a bomb, as the kids say, because I have been preaching Crusader probably since everyone's known me, like forever. Was my favorite Linux app. I don't use Crusader anymore, and I haven't for months. I don't have a graphical file manager on my system at the moment. I'm using Ranger. I realized that because I use Flatpak for Vivaldi, and you can't drag and drop from a non-Flatpak to a Flatpak because of the whole portals thing without doing a whole bunch of rigmarole BS. So, and really that's the only place I ever needed to drag and drop to. And that was the only reason I ever used a graphical file manager, really, was so I could have that drag and drop. Now, so there's going to be somebody in the chat that says, well, Matt, you could use Dragon in Ranger and have drag and drop. I don't actually need it. But I just didn't need to have all those packages from KDE installed on my system anymore. So I've been using Ranger. I tried Yazi for a little while, and Yazi is really, really good. I just don't care for the way that their configuration file is written. I think it's Toml. It's not like it's hard. Ranger's basically plain text, so it's just there. And I've been using it for so long, I have a configuration file that just works really, really well. So, yeah.
For Ranger though, for you, like since you make a lot of YouTube videos, do you just open up like a YouTube video and hit enter and just kind of watch it in MPV or whatever, just to test the audio or whatever? Or?
Yeah, the audio I have. It so that if I'm listening to just audio, it'll just open up in the terminal with a terminal audio player. I'm not actually sure what I use. It's probably the MPC or something like that. And then the video, it just opens up in a standard MPV thing. Or if it can't find the proper codec, it will move on to VLC.
Right on.
So yeah, I'm very happy with that. So. But you're right, a file manager is definitely a necessity. A lot of people, like Drew, you're a Thunar guy, right?
Yeah, Thunar for years, just using Thunar. I've used a bunch of them, but for the last few years, Thunar's always been a staple for sure.
Yeah, and Nate, I'm not actually sure I've ever asked you this question. What file manager do you use?
I just use Nautilus. It works.
Oh, God, I just threw up a little bit in my mouth. It's horrible.
Don't care. I just need to get access to my files.
I know. I know. I'm the weird one where I'm like a file manager snob. It's a weird thing to be. All right. So I will say this for my next one: clipboard history. I need a clipboard history of some kind, of whether it's clip menu D in Xorg or clip hist in Wayland. I use that thing constantly just because I don't want, like, I'm always copying multiple things and then forgetting what's in the clipboard buffer. So it's just so much easier, especially once you, so my Vim config wasn't attached to the system clipboard at all, but my Emacs config is. So if I cut something using any of the number of ways you can cut something in Emacs, it goes to the system configuration file or system clipboard buffer no matter what. So oftentimes I'll copy something in Emacs, not realize that I did it, and then it's all kind of messed up. But I can go back in history with cliphist with Rofi attached to it, and it just works really well. So a lot of desktop environments have this built in, like KD does. GNOME has an extension that you can add for it. So if you don't have a clipboard history manager, I highly recommend you going to download one. So that's my next one. I'm kind of out of order, so I think, Nate, you're next.
So I have one that maybe not technically a desktop or window manager tool, but is definitely on literally every Linux desktop or even server that I have, and that's SSH. I have to have SSH. Mostly because I spent the money for, this finagle thing that kind of does that thing. So this is my SSH. So when I'm away, I use this to SSH into my desktops and my servers. Yeah, and look, it's like stupid thin.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's the brand new one, by the way.
Every time you show that off, I'm going to tell you not to pull a Tyler. I'm just and if Tyler wants me to stop talking shit about him, he can come back on the podcast. I'm just saying. Drew, you're
good.
Go ahead if you had something to say.
I was just going to ask, is that Zany? You're talking about Zany?
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's off in the wilderness somewhere. He left his version of Nate's phone on the top of his car, and he cousins.
He had this one, which is that one.
Yeah.
Funny.
Very, very pricey mistake, but I will never let him live it down. Anyways, I think, Drew, it's your turn next.
So I know that you said Rofi already, Matt, but I think we should make a full circle turn here, because Rofi is that good and that outstanding and is that freaking flexible. So if you have any desire to tinker and write any type of scripting that can output to Rofi, it is such a freaking boon, man. I like Matt's like, hey, I need something that copies the Git files on our server, and I'm like, yeah, let's output that to Rofi. And so Matt sits there and like just clicks on that, and it copies the URL, and boom, and he's doing that. And not to mention the fact that you can do so many other things. Like, for example, I just mentioned about key bindings. Okay, so in the several window managers that I am kind of like doing as projects, I always have a super H as a key bind, which is all of the key bindings that have been, that are in the config, and all of that is output to Rofi so that you can see what the key bindings are for all of these projects. So if I'm in DWM, for example, and I hit super H, it shows not just the SXHKD, which is actually parsing. It's also looking at the DWM key binding. So everybody has like a record. Oh, it's super F for Thunar. There you go. So Rofi is so good, so flexible. And if you have the need to write any scripts that kind of output to Rofi, take advantage.
I will second everything there. It's just so good. Go ahead.
Co-sign that too. Same thing with dmenu, I think. Similar concept.
Absolutely. I've seen you do a video. Yeah. Well, at least I think it was your DWL video, actually, where I was like, oh yeah, he's using dmenu and he's using it well,
Yeah, I was, I made a script to like get bookmarks and stuff into dmenu, and it opens it in different browsers and stuff, just according to like what if it's personal or work related and stuff. And so yeah, it's like browser. It's nice to use. You can make a bash script and just it's really yeah. I think scripting in Rofi and dmenu is a really good way to like learn about bash and like learn about just, I don't know, computing. It's like really convenient and it's super minimal. But yeah, I watched your video on exactly what you're talking about with the help, the super H. I was like, that's actually a really cool idea. So I'm thinking about maybe whipping up something for my setup too that helps with the keybinds.
There you go.
I don't know what half of my keybinds are, and probably means that I don't need half of them, but that's okay. All right, so Tony, I think it's your next.
Yeah, I think none of us have covered this one yet, but this is again one of those nice to haves, and this would be like a wallpaper manager. Like a lot of people use Nitrogen or whatever. I just use X wallpaper or Sway BG, depending on like if I'm in Wayland or X. But you know, I didn't even use a wallpaper for a long time because it's not really needed. But you know, it definitely. I think we all use them, right?
Wallpapers?
So I would say, yeah, we all use them. So that would be like that's something that we haven't covered yet, but yeah, I'll throw like an X wallpaper script into like a start X or like a auto start script for DWM or something, and it just sets a wallpaper, and it's nice to have for sure. Doesn't come out of the box with a window manager, so
yeah, I use SWWW because it has fancy animations, so I gotta have all that bling bling. All right, so I think I'm next. So my next one is like, I will refuse to use a window manager if it doesn't have it, or I can't make one. So, and it's scratch pads. I will die on the hill that scratch pads are the number one thing that I need. Like I use them constantly. Like I'm like I have two terminals. I have Pulse Mixer. I have my Jellyfin Tui that's over there for my music. My clip history uses one of those scratch pads. I have one for a couple other things, and they're just so good, and they're so useful. Even if I don't use the thing all the time, it's just nice to know that if for whatever reason I get a pipe wire update or whatever, and my source on my microphone changes to something different, and I need to go in and change something, I just know that I can do Super V. Pulse Mixer will drop down. I can change to the correct source, and it works fantastic. I don't have to open up anything else. It's just always there, always running. And just having a regular terminal that you can just kind of have in the background running something if you need to. So like so every time I run I do all of my backups for this computer manually, which is probably not a great idea, but I've gotten to a habit of doing it. And I just open up a scratch pad, type in my alias for my backups, let it go. It goes away. It doesn't take up a workspace at all. Scratch pads are amazing, and it's the number one reason why I can't use Neri, because Neri does not have them, and I need them. So yeah, scratch pads are my next one, and they are very good. I'm not sure who. I've totally got it out of order. So who goes next?
I think
it's Nate.
Nate, go ahead. Sorry. I was going around in a circle, and now all of a sudden we're going in crisscross motion. So
I think I jumbled you up with the Xorg thing, and then Nate wasn't ready, so we had some little combinations.
It's okay. I normally, I can't keep track of crap anything, so just it would have eventually got mixed up no matter what. So Nate, go ahead.
So surprisingly, and Drew is going to be very happy with this. Very, very happy. I've been converted over to Genie.
No,
I have been using
not
Genie
another one. No,
a lot, and I actually really like it quite a bit. And so now every time that I use any files that I want to edit or anything, any bash scripts, I'm in Genie constantly.
So are you using vanilla Genie or something that you've created yourself, or did you do like I did and just steal everything that Drew's ever done?
I stole everything that Drew's done.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's a good choice because his config for Genie is just chef kiss. It's so good.
Yeah, I kind of went through his dot files and took everything that he had, basically.
Right.
Y'all take some
That's
of that.
What it's there for, bro. That's what it's there for.
It's free and open source, man.
Yeah.
Yoink, yoink, yoink.
Yeah.
Check out Butternotes. It's FOSS.
You're causing so many
Don't
problems.
say it.
Don't do that.
Don't you dare.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I don't have Genie on my list, but I do have editors on my list. So you should learn. The editor wars are stupid. Just use what you want to use. But I would point people towards something like Genie as well for the most part. I would highly advise against Emacs. Not because Emacs is bad and then I'm not using it. I like Emacs, but it's like if there was a time hole that you just want to sink all of your time into, you would just jump into it and never come out. It's
So you're saying you're invested.
Once you start, you figure, well, I might as well finish. But the problem is, there's no finish, dude. You're just always tweaking that configuration file. It's so stupid. And because my configuration is fine, it's very, very good, I think. Granted, I've stolen all of it from other people, but still, every once in a while, I'll just be scrolling, because you on like GitHub, you can go to GitHub and search for Emacs configs, right? You just search for things, and I'll just do that when I just have a little bit of extra time. So I just go through random people's Emacs configs and I go, oh, that's a cool feature. I'm going to implement that in mine. So I spend the next 2 hours trying to get it to fit into the Lisp configuration that I have going. And, I'm breaking things all over the place and getting errors and then finding just do what Nate and Drew do and use Genie. It'd be so much better off. Or Vim is kind of the same, but Vim, I think, is like there's a certain point where Vim, if you add too many plugins, it falls down. It feels like you can have too much stuff there, and eventually you're going to have what you want with Emacs, because Emacs isn't actually a text editor; it's a Lisp, whatever the fuck. I lost the word there. It's an interpreter. Thank you. But because of that, it's true. It doesn't really fall down, no matter how big your configuration file is. So my configuration file is huge. So I just can keep adding to it, and it doesn't really matter.
You have to admit something to all of us right now, because you are also the guy that will patch DWM to death, like
True.
to literal death.
True.
Okay.
Yeah. I will in fact patch DWM for fun and try to achieve a world record.
I mean, if you really want to go proprietary garbage, there is VS Code.
Actually, you could use VS Codium. You can use Codium, and it's
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
I have it, but I'm just saying, if you really want to go there, you can use VS Code.
I have it installed. I don't think I've ever opened it. I don't know why.
VS Code?
No, well, it's probably VS Code. I don't even know. I installed it, I think, to test a Flatpak of something.
Yeah.
And then
none of us mentioned text editors until Nate brought up Genie, but I think for me, Vim, I have an 8-line config file for vanilla Vim, like it's just an 8-line vimrc that I just kind of memorized. So whenever I load up like an Arch ISO or any ISO image, I literally just open the root vimrc and add like a couple lines to it just to make it tolerable. But that's why I like Vim a lot. But once you're like loaded into your like daily driver, I mean, if you're not using Emacs, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it's the end game of I don't even want to get in trouble for this, but it's like really the end game of editing text, even though it doesn't have a text editor in it at all. But
don't listen to that fool. It's absolutely not true. Vim is the final. Vim is where you should stop. Okay, I don't do what I did and get suckered into using Emacs, because once you do, you'll just never leave it behind. And there's nothing inherently wrong with Emacs. It's just that
it's a time sink for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Vim is. I've spent hundreds of hours over the course of the last 2 months making Emacs into the perfect replica of Vim.
Of Vim, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I'm just using a much more bloated version of Vim. It's absolutely the truth. And it's bloated as in, like, if you compared the configuration line numbers, like I have like a 10,000 line Emacs config, and my Vim config was like 300 or something. So definitely bloated in that. All right. So Drew, I think you're next.
Did someone say Genie? Oh, yeah.
He was just over there just, stroking his Genie config.
I'm just looking at my Genie right here to my left. I'm like, anyway. What's funny is because we had a little bit of a pod, was it a few weeks ago and anything, and we kind of like, okay, this is the things we need. And we, all of us need browsers, all of us need, an editor of some kind and everything. But, the one thing that we didn't talk about was a terminal. And yeah, I use WesTerm, and I mentioned it in the chat as well, and I like it. And I don't just like it. It's sick. It's my favorite terminal that I've used, period. And so much so that I actually put my money where my mouth is, and I contribute to that project because I think it's that good. And having a Lua config, I mean, I spent a long time on my Lua config for Wes term. It's good. It's really stinking good. And I know everyone's going to go kitty and everything. Fine. I'm just telling you, Wes term for me is so
I'm
good.
actually curious. Did you ever experiment with ST? Because I know you're a DWM guy.
Actually, I have an ST as part of my Suckless project or DWM project, and I use both. So I use Wes term as my primary. ST is there as a scratch pad. So I use both so that anybody can use either one they want, basically. And I like it that way because I don't really use scratch pads, certainly not to the level that Matt does. I might like, I think Super V to get the volume mixer up there, and that's about it. It's kind of and I have used Ranger to Matt's point as well. But no, yeah, I think about 6 or 7 patches with my ST.
Yeah, it's got to be patched to be usable. So like a couple patches to make it usable, but
yeah.
I like that it's 25 megs. Like it is 25 megabytes of RAM with a couple patches compared to like 200 megabytes or whatever with some of these other ones.
So we did that Wes term review back like 6 months ago or something, Drew, and I liked Wes term just fine. It was really good. My thing is like I have a kitty config and I'm going to drive kitty into the ground. Like I did it with Termite. I used that thing until it just was no longer maintained. And then I did with Alacrity. I used that until it broke and couldn't fix it. So I probably will do the same with kitty. But that wasn't really a knock on Wes term. I think Wes term was equally as good.
So Nate, you're still using Wes term to some level? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I use Tilix and Wes term.
Okay.
So like Tilix I use, as you can see, I just use for monitoring stuff. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I really use Tilix for. But my actual day-to-day use for a terminal is Wes term.
So Matt, the one thing that I can make, if anybody is curious about that, there is the stable version of Wes term that is 2024. I don't know it's like June of 2024 or something like that. Don't do that. Use the nightly version of Wes term if you are going to install it. It is infinitely faster, infinitely better in terms of like just operation speed. So yeah, just do that. That was the one mistake I think I probably made when we did that Wes term, that video, that podcast. And when we actually did the review, I should have just said, hey, everybody get on the nightly version as opposed to the old stable version. It's better. It's just better.
Good. All right. So I think it's my turn next. I'm not exactly sure. Okay.
Did Tony go?
I think the last thing I have, I didn't go. I think the last thing that I have on the list that none of us have covered is a screen locker. So I don't know if you guys, I use Slock. It's a suckless tool, but like i3 lock and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys even use that stuff, but that's what I have. Like we hit everything on my list.
Okay, that's fine. I have a few more that I'll probably rattle off, but screen locker is a good one. I have it listed as a screen idle blocker because on like GNOME you can download Caffeine. I use that thing all the time. That's like one of the extensions that I have to have. On Plasma, they have it built in where you can kind of block the screen from going off. On Hyperland, it's actually attached to Waybar for some reason. Like as far as I know, you can't detach it from Waybar. Like there's no way to not just hit the button. You have to hit the button. There's no, so if someone knows how to create a key binding in Hyperland to control the idle inhibitor, I would be forever grateful because then I could just latch it onto a button instead of having to use the mouse like a Neanderthal. But I also use Hyperlock as the locker thing. So cool. All right, so I'm just.
I have like a couple more, but I'll let you rattle off.
Okay. Well, why don't we just, because Tony's out, we'll just rattle off the rest of ours as we go along. I'll rattle mine off, and then I'll go to you guys. So I have a rediscovery here. So in i3, one of my favorite things was the ability to use tabs. In DWM, you could use monocle mode, or Qtile, you could use monocle mode, where all the windows are piled on top of each other, and you could use key bindings to switch back and forth. So you just have them all full screen, but they just switch back and forth. I did not know that Hyperland had this. They call them groups. I'm using them all the time. Like every single workspace I have has a group on it, and it even has like a title bar for the tabs. It's really, really good. So I've rediscovered that and highly recommend that layout. It's very, very good. I really don't like Windows side by side as much as I used to. Like it was fine, but I want everything full screen just because my eyesight is so crap. Making a window smaller and making the text smaller just makes it harder for me to read. So keeping everything full screen but having the ability to have tabs on it is just so good. What are you giggling about there, Drew?
It's a freaking Nate.
What did
He's talking about needing full screen. I'm
He's
like,
like, full screen.
He just buys another monitor.
Just pick one.
I didn't even, I was too busy looking at the field notes thing in my hand. I didn't even notice that. I could have had a good laugh. All right. My other one is another thing that I've kind of rediscovered is that key chords. Like in SXHKD, you can do key chords really nice. Like they're really, really good. On Hyperland, they're not quite as good, but they do exist. So I've been setting those up in Hyperland. I miss having like, I can do like Alt X and then another key after that to launch a whole bunch of different applications, and it just broadens the number of keys you have available to do. It's kind of like key chords in Emacs. Like you can have so many different key chords in Emacs. Emacs is key chords. Like there's not anything that's not a key chord in Emacs. This kind of brings some of that functionality to your window manager. I think like if you're using an X11 window manager, SXHKD is the best way to do it. Even though like Qtile supports them, I'm pretty sure there's a patch for DWM that you can get to support key chords out of the box without a keyboard key binding manager thing. I think, and I know for sure, like Xmonad, if you understand Haskell, you can go and put key chords in there too. On Wayland, I'm not sure if any other ones do it other than Hyperland. I'm not sure about Sway or Neary, to be honest with you. So keywords is another one. And Drew, I'm surprised you, like, for whatever reason, I wrote down scripting. Like scripting is a tool. If you want to use a window manager, chances are you should learn how to script because there's so much you can like.
So I got to ask a question about Qtile with you, Matt, because I know that if you're liking things in full screen, have you tried that Zoomy? I think it's called Zoomy layout for Qtile.
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's basically you see it's full screen, and then you've got this little strip on the right where there's like the other windows.
It's like an accordion type thing, right? Yeah. I've seen it. I've never used it.
Okay.
The two that I always used was Monad Tall and the monocle mode, just because those are the two that were.
I kind of like the Zoomy thing. In fact, I think D-Dubs was like, man, I like that Zoomy thing.
I'll have to check it out because I do actually have Qtile installed. I've been looking at it because some of my Qtile configs are, oh god, they're so good. I miss them so much. So I may be going back to Qtile soon. We'll see. I have just a couple more. Pulse Mixer, we talked about that a little bit, and then I want a window manager always with a window manager command. So like hyperctl on Hyperland, BSPC on BSPWM, i3 CMD, I think, on i3. You can get something similar for DWM, I believe, so you can control a lot of stuff in the terminal. So my window manager has to have one of those things so that I can do scripting and control a lot of stuff. And if it doesn't have it, I just really don't want it.
Forgot to mention Pavu control. Like it's like you mentioned like an audio mixer. Yeah. You don't get that out of the box when you make a window manager. And I think PACTL or whatever is like too hard to work with, to be honest with you. So it's nice to have like a little GUI for it.
Yeah. Definitely have bindings for audio and stuff like that. I highly recommend that. All right. So Nate, why don't you list off the ones that you have next or left?
So if I'm using Awesome WM, then I like to have my widgets just because I have dyslexia, so I always get my key bindings wrong. So I always keep a widget to the side, and that's very, very helpful. The other one is if I'm in Cosmic, for the love of God, install Flat Seal because everything they do is in Flatpaks. So have Flat Seal available. You're going to have to use it. And the next thing too is I'm just going to list off some of the applications. I like Micro for really quick edits in the terminal. I prefer it over Nano if you want to just do a quick edit. Also, I make sure that, depending on any distro I'm on, Pipewire is installed because holy crap, I do not like Pulse Audio, nor do I like ALSA. But
What?
basically, yeah, basically I make sure Pipewire server is installed so that way it's working. And then the last few ones, I'm just going to write them off. I like to have GIMP, DaVinci Resolve, Kdenlive, Handbrake, and Audacity installed because I do a lot of media stuff. So those are my daily tools that I like to use all the time.
All right, Drew, list off the last ones you have left.
Let me think. Okay. Flame Shot I like Flame Shot. I like LX Appearance, obviously, if you're looking to do some type of like color scheme theming. If you are on, if you're in an X11 window manager, it just seems like LX Appearance is the only game in town. So there you go. I think that's about it.
Oh, good Lord. Monitoring systems.
Yeah, I got one.
VTop, NVTop. I got several of them.
None of us mentioned it, and somebody in the chat just point this out there, but we got NeoFetch. We forgot to put the obligatory NeoFetch in there.
Yeah, you can't use it with a manager without it.
If you're mentioning like any type of like Flame Shot or something like that,
yeah,
you have to have
a fast fetch,
yeah.
But yeah.
All right, so I think that is it for us on this particular topic. So for those of you who are watching live, you've probably been telling us in the chat what you've been using, so definitely check that out. I'm sure that there's some tools out there that we didn't cover, but these are just kind of the ones that we use. And I know that we covered the more general tools in a previous episode, but we're talking more about window managers and stuff like that, so it's not exactly a copy. I know somebody in the chat said, well, didn't you guys just do this episode like 6 weeks ago? We talk about apps a lot, guys, okay? It's fine. All right. So we're going to move on to the Nuggies of the week. I really need a soundboard. It'd be great if I had a soundboard. That'd be another...
Coming to you live. Nuggies of the week.
Yeah. Nate's doing all the sound. He's got the voice for it, man. All right. But anyways, the Nuggies of the week are the last part of the podcast. Basically, this is where we talk about our tips, tricks, app picks, whatever you want to call them, and we just basically things that we'd like to share with you guys. So Tony, as the guest, you get to go first. What is your Nuggie of the week?
Yeah, I don't know, like it took me like maybe 8 years to learn this, but if you just type ! Twice in the terminal, it just runs the last command, and it's really, really helpful for like when you type like apt install something and you get prompted with, oh, didn't you mean to run this as sudo? And instead of like typing the command over again with sudo at the front, you can just type sudo ! Mark or like sudo bang bang. It's just like super quick to run the last command as sudo. And I think I do that like literally 5 or 6 times a day because it's just like a habit to not put sudo at the beginning of stuff.
Aliases, my friend. Use aliases. You'll never have to do it ever again.
I do have a question. Sorry, he said sudo apt.
I'm talking for
You mean Nala?
Oh yeah, I appreciate that.
Sorry.
Also, Tony, aren't you on like NixOS right now?
Yeah, I'm just giving it for I think
for the real distros is what you're trying to say, right?
It's more so like if you go on distro watch or whatever, like 64% of people are using, I think, Mint or something. So it just got to cover your basis with the app. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, same thing for Pacman and Emerge and all that stuff. And Nix doesn't have that. So
yeah, I was just making the not a real distro joke. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that got you a little bit of hot water, didn't it?
Just a tad. I actually, if it was closer, I have a hat that says "Not a Real Distro" with the NixOS logo on it next to it. So
that's good merch. That's good merch.
Shop.
I was really sad because I dropped a comment on that video like 4 seconds before you deleted it.
Did you?
So I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you saw it. It was a copy paste of like actually what you're referring to is GNU / NixOS or whatever.
Yeah, that would have been the perfect troll.
That's good.
No, I maybe I saw it. I don't know. It was ages ago. All right, so Nate, your Nuggie of the week, please.
So mine is, of course, hardware related. We all know how I am. But this is actually, I found it really, really cool. It is OWC Slim Optical Drive Enclosure. So basically, if you're like me and you constantly have like laptops that you're pulling apart all the time, you wind up a lot of times with like DVD drives or even sometimes Blu-ray drives. And if you want to preserve those and actually use them, you can use this enclosure and it literally just slots in and you have now a portable DVD drive, portable Blu-ray drive that you can just keep with you at all times, and it's really cool. I thought it was just a really neat product.
I would like a slim one as well, but the drive that I have is like, I don't know, it's like a size of a shoebox, and it's only a DVD drive too. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe it is a Blu-ray drive. I don't actually know because I don't own any Blu-ray discs. I'm like living in the 90s, and all I have is DVDs and VHS tapes. Surprisingly enough. All right. Drew, your Nuggies of the week.
Okay, stay with me because I'm going to use Fresh RSS, which has already been used before. Okay, Fresh RSS is an RSS feed reader. Now, I'm going to specify because most of us will go and look at specific either GitHub repos, Codeberg repos, GitLab repos, and all of them have an RSS feed. So what you can do is you can copy the RSS from all of this like beautiful software and put it in your RSS feed reader. And so when things get updated, when there are commits to all of those software repos, you get like a time-stamped list of everything that's happened in all of these projects. I'm going to tell you, I really enjoyed that this week, where I added all this software to my RSS feed reader, and I'm able to see all of these commits on a bunch of different projects that I'm curious about.
So
nerd, I get it. Matt. I knew that was the next thing out of your mouth, nerd.
Well, it's just that would just be repeating a joke because that's exactly what I called you when you told it wasn't like late at night, but Drew messaged me on Discord like, "Hey, did you know this?" Like it's really hard to tell a person's tone of voice from a text exchange, but you could tell that Drew was like, "This is really cool," you know. Like, I'm surprised it wasn't in all caps. It is a really cool feature. I just don't know that I follow enough projects to actually go through and set it up or not. Yeah. All right.
Lame.
So I know I all I use is proprietary garbage. So what do I need to?
Oh, wow.
All right. So my Nuggie of the week is, all right, speaking of proprietary garbage, is a launcher for Android called Smart Launcher. So this last couple of weeks has been a rough one for people who like launchers on Android. Nova Launcher is dead. Like they're pulling it from the App Store now. It's just going away, and that's been like the launcher forever. Like the last 10. Maybe even close to 15 years, Nova Launcher has been the launcher if you want to use it. Now, I know that a lot of people use Launcher and a couple other, and like Niagara, but Nova Launcher was like the default, and it's going away. And there have been rumors that they're going to open source it, but basically some company came in, bought them, ruined the project, and kicked all the developers off and pissed them all off and stuff. So they're all gone, and the project's dead. But they're probably not going to open source it. They're just in rumors. But anyways, so I needed something different that was going to actually be maintained. So I've been using something called Smart Launcher. It's not as good as Nova Launcher is. I will, at least, it's not as intuitive out of the box, but if you put in some time and effort, you can get it to function fairly decently. And one of the cool things is that if you're like me and you download a ton of applications for basically no reason, is it will go through and categorize the apps that you have installed into different categories, and that way your app drawer is a little bit more organized, and that really helps me because I can go through and sort the things that I have installed and kind of see, well, you know, I haven't used this in like 6 months, I can delete it. You know, it's much easier than having to flow through a whole thing. And you could do the same kind of thing with Nova Launcher too, but you had to do it on your own. This does it automatically, which is nice. So Smart Launcher for Android, highly recommend it. I do believe that if you want a lot of the features, you have to pay for it, but it's just a one-time thing. If it was a subscription, I wouldn't use it. So there you go. That's my Nuggie of the week. So that is the Linux cast for this evening. Outside of the weird internet issues that we started off with, that seems to have cleared up. So that seems to, you know, it seems to have been a good episode. So, Mr. Tony, why don't you tell us about your YouTube channel, where you can find all your contact information, all the stuff that you want the audience to know?
I have a YouTube channel. It's just Tony-BCW. I just cover like Linux tutorials and stuff, installation stuff, and pretty much everything on there. So that's where I'm at. I do have a website, tonybtw.com, and it's pretty much like there's a community tab. You can check it out. People will upload articles and stuff to it. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay, before we move on to the rest of the contact information, though, you have to explain to us what this thing is where you're putting next year in the title. Because, like, man, I don't know if you know this or not, but it's not 2026 yet. And also, I don't know if Link Zaru or whatever his name is, if he's still here, I'm pissed off at that man. You were on his podcast, and his podcast came out, and he stole my title because I was gonna put 2027 edition in the title, so I can't do that now.
2077, the cyberpunk version.
Yeah, it pissed me off because I was like, that damn, it was my idea.
Yeah, the original was a typo, literally. And then I started thinking about how, like, if you ever go buy like a Honda Civic and it's like, let's say it's 2023 or whatever, and they're going to sell you the 2024 version, right? And it's like, why do they do that? And so and then also it was right around January when I started making videos, and everyone would put 2025 in like all their videos because it's like SEO or whatever. And I just wanted to mock them a little bit. So I just kind of leaned into the 2026 thing. And I think it's just kind of a funny little branding thing now at this point.
Okay. I mean, that's cool, but it always drives me nuts. Like, doesn't this dude know the date? I mean,
no.
I offer to buy you a calendar. I mean,
hey, there's a nice tool just called Cal, I think, right in it's like a new tool, I think.
Yeah, it's built in.
But you mentioned you were going to ask me about DWL, but I think we'll maybe talk about it offline. I think because it's pretty big can of worms. But yeah.
Yeah. That was before we added in the desktop thing, so we didn't kind of get to it. But anyway, yes, you won, Linkarzu. I understand. You got to him first. All right. Anyway, so if you want to get in contact with us, the best way to do so is the email address. email@thelinuxcast.org is that address. If you want to get in contact with any of the boys here, just email me and I'll make sure that gets forwarded on to where it needs to go. If you want to find out any of our other contact information, the best way to do that is head on over to the website, which is thelinuxcast.org. There you'll find previous episodes all the way back to season 1. And the old podcast page where all those things out looks really good because I've done a fantastic job over there. And I'm not even being sarcastic. Like, it has drop downs for previous years. If you want to go to the year, you just click the year or the season or whatever, and it just show you where everything is. It has the YouTube and the audio version embedded. I'm just patting myself on the back here, guys. But anyways, head on over there if you want to binge all of our episodes. I promise you, the quality has not improved. I mean, it has improved, but not that much. We're still not professionals, but actually, I've listened to the first episode. It was bad. So I can't say that it hasn't improved. It's gotten stuff. Anyways, contact information over there, linuxcast.org/contact. Drew has a YouTube channel. He is Just a Guy Linux on YouTube. Make sure you head on over there, subscribe to him. He posts things about Debian and scripting and window managers and stuff like that. So if you want any of that kind of stuff, head on over there. Check out Just a Guy Linux. He also has a website, which is now a Git repository, right, for all your documentation.
Yeah, it's a wiki. I switched it to a wiki. I was doing all this document stuff, but now it's a wiki. So
yeah, so if you need some Debian or self-hosted relating documentation for some specific things, a lot of his stuff is very well documented. So head on over, check that out. Nate also has a YouTube channel, which I'm convinced he doesn't know how to use. I'm just convinced that he's lost the password. He's been promising a video for ages, but all I've been hearing, like, I'm switching to a new job and all this stuff, yada, yada, yada. I could be making YouTube videos.
Okay, since you want to go there.
I have to talk shit, man. You've been teasing me with DaVinci Resolve in the background for a fucking hour.
Okay, well, I will say this. I'm going to make a quick announcement. Today was officially my last day.
Congratulations, Nate.
Nice.
Which means tomorrow I get to start a little project.
Like YouTube video? All right. Anyways, I don't think I actually ever said the YouTube channel. It's Nate Picks Tech World on YouTube. Make sure you check him out. Also, I didn't say this while Tony was going because I got distracted, but make sure you head over to Tony's channel. He's youtube.com/Tony-BTW. Make sure you subscribe to him as well and check out all of his content. And if you do so, you'll be living in the future because all of his titles say so. All right. Anyways, that's it for this one. We'll see you guys next week on Tuesday. If you want to watch the recorded version that posted on Saturday, it's edited by Mr. Nate. Thank you, Nate, for editing. We'll see you guys next time.